guys. Welcome to an incredible new podcast. Glad to be with you here this evening on the Service Without Excuses podcast. This one I have been really looking forward to. Today I'm with John Walsh. John is the president of Standout X and the Standout movement. He's worked with two world-class companies. One of them is my absolute favorite. And if you ever listen to anything I've talked about, I'm big on experience. And there is no greater, in my opinion, experience you can ever have in this world than Disney, which he spent about 18 years with and a couple of years with MSG and Madison Square Garden. Obviously, I'm a former New Yorker, and I love that place. Even though the Knicks, well, we won't go there. We'll leave that one for another one, but I still love it. And I was found out, which really shocked me, was that everybody's like, what's the team in New York? And I'm thinking Yankees, Yankees, Yankees. Bull, it's the Knicks. The Knicks are the team of New York. And I did not know that when I got there. I was so surprised it was that. So that's awesome. John, welcome, my friend. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great, Rob. It's good to see you. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, definitely. And I got a chance to read about 90% of the book, Standout X. It's an excellent book. And one of the things that really stuck out to me is I realized that it was more for younger people getting into the business world and how to stand out and how to be unique with what they're doing and how they present themselves for opportunities, employment. But what it also really encompassed to me was the fact that it was really imperative to business owners to learn these statistics. I talked about before an article I wrote about a person in business and a business person. Difference between a person in business is maybe a person that got off, worked a job for somebody, decided one day, you know what, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I think I could do it better. I watch the money that they're making, and that's going to be my path. But they have no clue on how to run a business or any of the background behind the business. So I have John as an expert in this field of standing out and how your business can stand out and your entire life. Even if it's not you, maybe you own the business, but you have children that need to learn these facts. Because I can tell you, as having a stepdaughter that just graduated from a very good school in New York City, School of Visual Arts, excellent school, very talented, but trying to find a job in that market, not the easiest thing in the world, especially right now with the challenges. So right now, with everything going on, with COVID going on, it's 2021. I can't believe I'm still talking about this now. It's more imperative than ever of what's in this book. So John, welcome and thank you, man.
Thank you. Let's get into it. I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right.
Here we go.
What are some of the differences? What are some of the things that you can say? I've got some notes in here and stuff, and I won't even get into that. I want you to explain more about the book and what Standout X is about from your mouth versus, obviously what I would bring to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wrote the book because I've always been, a couple reasons, two reasons really. One is I was fascinated with why certain people stand out, right? In a company, a leader, a performer, an athlete, people in my own company. I was always interested in why certain people got ahead and certain people didn't. Why did some people get jobs and some people didn't? Why did some people get the girl and other people didn't? And I really started studying, these highly successful people that, that stood out, right? And so it really got me thinking about, that is sort of the path. If you want ultimate success and happiness is you have to do things differently, better than everybody else. And there's almost like a certain formula for standing out. So there was that. And then, I look at my own life and I found that standing out is a process. Like we all start with nothing. We all start with some kind of adversity or whatever else. And some people are still going through it, but there's a path, there's a process to get to a point where you hit goals and milestones and achieve things that you never thought were possible. And it's that breaking out of the norm. It's breaking out of the basics, if you will, that, to stand out. I mean, look, we all do. Standing out happens to all of us. Sometimes we all have a standout moment in our life, right? You get married. We all remember that, right? You achieve this big goal. You remember that. We all have that moment. And we all want to stand out at some point. You want to get that ideal client or a client, you want to get that job, 250 people on average apply for a job. One's going to get selected. And, it's a competitive world out there. So I've always been fascinated with what makes certain people stand out, which is why I've got my company Standout X to help people do that. That's why I wrote the book, The Standout Experience, because it describes the process to get there.
One of the things that I noticed, we have a common friend that actually mentioned about you. And ironically, I was already friends with you on Facebook. He's a musician. I've been a musician for a long time. He made a career out of it, and he knows somebody you're related to, I guess. And as a musician, especially back in the days we did, we'd go flyers, we'd do it. You had to learn to stand out. It didn't matter what your band sounded like. Didn't matter how good you were at something. If people did not, and I've learned it still to this day, I still play music, and the band I play with are wonderful guys, but I play with some of the most incredible musicians I've ever listened to in my life. And we would put 5 people in the room. Now we were playing musically, really well, I guess, so to speak. And people are like, wow, they're great musicians, but you put 10 people in a room. Then you get another group of people that, you get male and female front person. They're handling that. Then you've got musicians that we all can play, but we're not playing anywhere near to that musicianship. And you fill the room because you're standing out. Something is sticking out. Yes, you have 2 people in the front that are fronting it, but there's a recipe behind standing out. And I think that's really, what a lot of people's focus should be on. It's definitely on mine. And from what you're explaining, it's imperative that they do that there is something that is unique. You can't say, I'm a carpet cleaner, I'm a restoration contractor, I'm a plumber. No, your company is Jim's Plumbing. You're a product. You're not the service. The service you offer is a commodity. People are going to go, there's 5 choices. And if you only name that you're a plumbing contractor, I'm going to go with the cheapest guy because you're not giving me a reason to do anything unless you're Jim's Professional Plumbing that happens to be the best guy, or Jim's carpet cleaning service that happens to have a great reputation both online and offline and has provided a great experience for the customers.
No question. And it's really about, to stand out. It's not, standing out is a process, and it's something that happens over time. You don't just, you could have, I guess, neon blinking flyer or whatever, and that stands out among all the noise. But, you really stand out by the memory that you leave behind and the imprint that you leave behind. And if you stand out, then people refer you to other people and so on and so forth. And, standing out is something you have to work hard to do. But if you have a small business, the way to start standing out is to really understand what it is that you're doing. If you're laying carpet or selling and laying carpet, you're not laying carpet. What you're doing is you're making people feel like they're floating on air by what they're walking on, right? And so what you're selling is this feeling of walking through your house. It just so happens you do it by laying carpet. If you focus on laying carpet and say you're a carpet layer, I don't know what the term is nowadays, but then those come a dime a dozen, right? But if you're someone that, promotes yourself as I put the best carpet in, you give you the best price, and you have this feeling that you're walking on air, people are like, hey, actually, I do want that, right? And so then they reach out to you a little bit more. And then if you do a job, you show up on time, you do the job as you said you were going to do, you do things that are beyond the unexpected. We actually laid our carpet in our house when we bought this house, and the people did a great job. They did it. A week later, we got a phone call, and the owner of the company called me and said, "So how do you feel? How's your house feeling?" Mm. Right? He was asking about the carpet, right? And that's kind of what they sold to us, and that stood out. If we lay carpet, we're going to go back to that company again.
So I have to ask you a question. Being your past executive with Disney, again, I can't tell you how big of a fan I am, but they are the masters. If you think your business is great at marketing, you need to really, really dip into that. I was told, and you could tell me if I'm incorrect here, that a person's entire experience is relatively planned from the day they enter the gate, the moment they enter the gate, through the entire process of going to a Disney property, resort. Is there some truth to that?
It's actually incorrect. It goes beyond that. So the experience starts, and we spent a lot of time on the experience, truly the end-to-end experience. And this is a great example for anyone who owns a business and is looking. The customer journey doesn't start when you meet the customer. It starts way before that. So Disney starts the customer journey while you're still at home. It starts with the website and the feel that you get from the website and the interactivity that you get with the website. to the booking process and how easy the booking process is and how friendly the agents are. When you book your reservation and you get mailed a box that has magic bands, that, you know, Disney has these bands where you walk around and you use that for your park tickets, for your credit card, for your resort room key, everything else. They come in these amazing packages with characters on them, and each of the bands has the kid's name on them and your name. And so like like you're already part of the magic even before that. You know, and then you fly to the Orlando airport, and you know you drop your bags off at your home hotel, at your home. Let's say, I mean, you're in Jersey, right? So let's say you fly out of Newark, right? You drop your bags off at Newark. The next time you'll see your bags is in your hotel room. You land at Orlando airport and a Disney bus is there to pick you up, and it's Disney as you can expect, right? And so you're already in the world of Disney as you're transporting on the bus to the property. You pull right up to the resort, and you know your room is ready to go. You walk right into the room. So your experience has started way before you get to the theme park. And then afterwards, you know, you go through everything and you leave. You think it all happens in reverse. You know, but then you've got Disney PhotoPass, and they're sending you pictures of your vacation, and they're like, and you're still magically involved. And then the beauty of Disney is you stay involved because then there's now Disney Plus, and you can get all the Disney movies at your fingertip. And so the customer journey, one way a company stands out is to look at the customer journey for what it really is. Customers are looking at you from the time they see you on a website, or they get a referral or whatever else, through the sales process, through the product or service that you deliver, and then how you do post product or service. You know, do you just do the thing and move on to the next one, or do you do the thing and then you follow up and, you know, you build that customer relationship? So Disney does it completely from a total end-to-end experience.
It's true. I was trying to think about this for 1 second. I'm big on reviews, and you can't brand your business today unless you got a war chest. I came from companies considerably smaller than you, but somebody doing $400 or $500 million a year. Okay. They can afford to take a market and say, I'm going to drop $1 million into marketing advertising, and that's fine. They can do that. You can't do that. I can't do that. Most people can't do that. Most people would not have the spine to put something like that together and do it. So you have to have, when you're standing out, you've got to have your position. I try to put it on. It's not about branding. I think I agree with Seth Godin about branding is dead. And the division that he talks about with branding, I think is, but a small business owner needs to have their position in the marketplace so unique that they want to go to you. Like a big thing we do by companies called New Jersey's Best. Are we New Jersey's best carpet cleaner? I doubt it. I try to be, but there's a lot of great cleaners in New Jersey, and I'm friends with many of them. But it's a unique stick out point. And what really puts us out there is we have a ton of reviews and backed up reviews, Google backed up, Google research reviews where Google have done, reviewed them and made sure that the end consumer, the people that we actually did work for, actually hired us, and they double check it. So that's the way I can build as a small business owner an experience before I get there. People say it, they go, read your reviews. Pretty impressive. So now that's selling, or that marketing, I should say. There's no selling involved. The marketing's been done in advance for that little business on a tiny, tiny platform compared to Disney, but at least we're able to put that experience out there. And I think people miss today one of the most competitive edges you could ever have, and you can build this, your own little, in my opinion, mini Disney. And like it says in your book, you can build something in your business to stand out that's unique about you and why people want to pay you for it. You were talking about the carpet layer. I went out with some friends of mine. I helped them lay a floor. Now, I'm not interested in breaking my back doing that, but I wanted to see what they did about it. And the person that we were doing the work for was the most horrible manager I ever saw in his life. However, he was extremely good at making the customer happy at the job. He was a terrible manager, but he was incredibly good at building it up to being this beautiful floor that you're going to have. And look, I mean, marketing guy he was. And I watched that and at the end of it, you know, he said, what do you think? I says, you should never manage another person in your life. However, you should be out there building those relationships, get a general manager in here that can deal with the logistical end of it and handle it. And you should be that person that is sort of their own Imagineer, so to speak. You know, your own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a story of that too. We did a floor in an old house of mine, and we had a guy came by, and it was everything that he did was just spectacular. The way that he took care, like I noticed it from the start. The way he looked, he was super professional. The way he spoke, very personable, not like super chatty, but just very personable. Like you could tell the minute he walked in the door, it was like he was doing his own house. And the way that he moved and took care of our furniture, right? The way that it was almost like my wife commented and said he's like an artist, because the way that he was laying all the wood panels or whatever you want to call them, like with such precision, like he was so proud of what he was doing. And he did just this amazing job. It looked spectacular. He on time, finished on time. It was on budget. It was everything that we'd expect. And then we got a call. It was about 3 months later. He called to ask if he could come over and do a routine cleaning. We weren't expecting it. So he said, I love this floor. It's my artwork. I want to offer you a free cleaning service. And he did that 3 times at 3 months, 1 year, and 2 years.
Wow.
There's no reason for it. So now whenever anybody wants to lay a floor, who do you think I'm talking about? Right? It's not just like if people that lay floors come a dime a dozen. I could hire 100 contractors to come and do it. But that one guy took so much pride in his work. He did it such, exceptional. It was extraordinary. And so he made us feel good. He made us, he did an exceptional job. He went, I always think about plus, he went above and beyond what we had asked for. And he will always stand out for me, but not just as a floor layer. Like as I'm comparing other people's like painters and all, I'm like, you almost compare the floor layer to like some of our painters we've had come by, right? And you're like, but no one can do the little bit of extra and pride in his work and everything else. So there's just so many ways that you can stand out, and there's so many benefits to it, because we're so busy just trying to get the job, get through the job, and get to the next one, because it's all about money, 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 money. And we don't realize that if you take that little bit of extra time, the payout is greater on the back end than trying to just kind of hustle through. So it's really about quality over quantity.
It is. It taking the pride that he did, and I commend that person can really. He's got to get in the business of not just doing what he's doing, promoting that he did the same work to his future potential customers and clients. I don't like the word customers because customers are a one-time transaction. So I always try to, the client, and I learned this from Jay Abraham a long time ago, you're under the care and protection of a professional, an authority on something. And that person, if he can take that and put that mold out there, you'll be surprised with all the extras we're going to give you. That's the extras. I think it really does make you stand out, not to sound parlay to it. We talked about this before, the hand and what each finger on the hand meant. As soon as you said it, I'm like, that has got to go on this podcast. So guys, listen to this.
So when I talk about, how do you stand out in your business or in your personal life, I always have people look at their hand and imagine, look at each finger on the hand, because there's a lot of ways to stand out, but there's 5 primary ways. The first is the thumb, and it's all about being you, being who you are, doing the way you do things, right? And so think about your thumb up, right? It's okay. Like you are you, be you, do your thing. Don't be anybody else, do it your way. So that's the first, being uniquely you. The second then is your index finger. It's your number 1 finger. It means to be the absolute best at your craft. Whatever it is that you do, whatever that thing is, be the absolute best that you can be. Then you got the middle finger, which is sort of the passion finger, if you will, right? And it's for obvious reasons, which I won't get into, but doing what you do better than anyone else with so much passion and enjoyment and love for what you're doing. The fourth is your ring finger. It's the finger where you have all your value, right? The ladies have their nice bling on their finger, whatever else. That's the value finger. Is you're adding value to your customer. You're giving them value above and beyond what they paid for. And then the fifth is your pinky finger, which is, if you think about, if you kind of hurt any of your fingers, it's the one finger that probably hurts more than anyone else when you get it caught in the door or whatever. It's your emotional finger. And so it's leaving people with an emotional feeling. And so in anything that you do, if you are uniquely you, doing it your way, You do it better than anybody else. You do it with so much passion and enthusiasm. You give so much value to your customers above and beyond what they paid for, and you leave them with an emotional, positive feeling. You're going to stand out. So that's a great framework to think about how to stand out.
I was thinking about it. I saw Dr. Michelli. He wrote the Starbucks Experience. And he talks about that. He talked about some other things around Seattle, like the fish market, which is an experience. And you go there, and you go, well, I can get fish in a lot of different places, but you got to go to that Pike's, whatever it is, fish market when you're there. Ritz-Carlton, I just read the book on that, his breakdown on how far they go ahead of their customers, the experience you have with a Ritz-Carlton. I have become a little bit of a hotel snob since meeting my wife, because she's a lifelong New Yorker, and you stay in good accommodations when you're out there. I can't possibly think about a place I might have stayed in college compared to what it is now. So I'm like, it's fine. It's good enough. No. So everything is about an experience. And I can tell you, she's like, you have got to, you're a person that tells people they work hard, they deserve to have something to enjoy their life with. Life is short. It could stop tomorrow. It could end tomorrow. The difference you experience today and the difference you make today is what really matters. And I don't think it's a situation where people should wait on something and wait till I got time, wait till I'm free. I'm too busy right now. I've got this going on. Listen, if you can't plan a strategy, you're too busy to plan a strategy, and you need to have somebody else plan the strategy for you or help you out, because you're not going to see tomorrow. And tomorrow, an example of that is not literally tomorrow. You're not going to see your future. You're not going to see where you can go. You're not going to see opportunities in front of you. We added something to our business I never dreamed we would add. It's actually made a huge dent in our profit margins this past year, because I did one job for a customer that told 5 other people that I would never thought in a million years. But their experience was so good. And honestly, I barely knew what I was doing. I was on YouTube searching, whatever, figuring out, talking to friends, going, how do I not screw this up? You won't screw it up. You're articulate. Oh, fine. Okay. So I go out there, and I made a few mistakes, but I fixed them pretty quickly. Before I knew it, I had an entire spring booked with one truck, and I'm putting another truck on the road this year, because people like the experience. And I'm confident enough that those customers right there, if I market to them in a year, if they're not ready for it, they're going to tell their friends and family of the experience of having it done. And again, a lot of people do it, what I'm doing, and they probably do it very well. But if their experience was good, don't assume that because you're not doing something the best, which you should. You should bring 100% to the table every single time. However, their experience with you and what they feel when they hire you and the job is completed is where you really want to, in my opinion, monopolize upon that. That is your own unique sort of USP, so to speak, if you really want to call it that. But I can't speak any more on it. I mean, John, you've really broken things down. I love the finger analogy. I like the different acronyms. And I'll pull this up really quick in the book. And I took a bunch of notes about self, who am I? T, tomorrow, where am I going? Attitude, what do you think, believe, and feel? Now, what is my purpose and where do I live today? That one really got me too, by the way. Do, how do I get where I want to go? Optimize, what specific things should I do to make the most of my opportunities? That's huge, because you don't realize what's related in opportunities to you. Uplift, how do I lead to help others? Touch, how can I make an impact in the world? X, the X factors, how do I stand out? Guys, you got to read this book. If you're listening to this podcast and you'd be out of your mind, I not only bought one, I bought the Audible version to it, because when I don't have enough time and I'm in a truck and I'm out on the road, these are things you need to listen to. Now, of course, I don't believe things go to memory as quickly as reading it. So I do both, because I have the attention span of a snail, maybe. So a lot of entrepreneurs have very short attention spans. Most of the successful guys on this planet, or men or women, have very short attention spans. We have to really work hard on it. Think about your customers in this situation. Think about your customers and what value you bring, what things maybe aren't on the table, what things are not standing out for your business. What advice would you give to somebody? Let's say they're a small company, new, they want to make that jump. They're a service business. Again, that's what most people, we have a few people that listen to it from other platforms, but mostly service business people. So service, again, is the product, and what you do is the commodity. What are some things that you feel that people can do to stand out from your vast experience and the incredible book, in my opinion, that you wrote here? John, what do you think?
I mean, I think there's a lot there, but I would say one is the 5-finger approach. I think is really important. But I think ultimately the book is called The Standout Experience because you talked about it. It is ultimately the experience, right? At the end of the day, a floor is a floor, a carpet's a carpet, a widget's a widget, a coffee's a coffee. But how you do it, and the experience that you like, we all remember experiences. We don't remember things, right? We remember experiences. And so, the way you stand out is the experience that you impart on other people. I reached a point in my personal career where I hit sort of a plateau, and I had an executive coach, and he was asking me questions about Disney and the Disney experience, and all these things, just like what you were doing, right? Just the things that Disney does from an experience perspective. And I was struggling as a leader, and he asked me a question that stopped me in my tracks. And I wrote about this in the book. And so all this stuff, he totally set me up, because then he said, okay, so what's the experience of you? And I could not answer the question, right? I didn't know how other people experience my leadership or working with me as a peer or whatever else. And the minute I started thinking about me as an experience, the minute we start thinking about our company as an experience, what we do as an experience, it changes the game. And when you really focus on the experience of other people, that is where you start becoming a game changer. I mean, there's a lot more to standing out, but that's the one thing. Remember those 5 fingers. Remember the experience that you give, and that's a great start. Let's just say that that's a great start.
And that's make sure it's the experience your customers are having. Do not assume. I talked about this before too. In our business, people talk about their equipment. They've got this truck, this equipment, this whatever.
Customers don't care.
They don't care. They don't care. You could have a power plant there. They don't care. They only care about the result. So do not look at it from your eyes as the business owner going, I have great extraction equipment. I've got best cleaning solutions. I've got a truck mount. I got a heater. Nobody cares. Maybe somebody will care. They're analytical. Maybe they really are an engineer. They care. 99% of them that will not care at all. Not one bit. So you should do a little research, in my opinion. And John, you can clarify this. Ask your customers what stood out. Your past clients. What unique situation? What did you like about us? Like the person said when they came back, do you mind if I come and do the floor? The other person you did that said, how did you like the job? Simple question. Like we do reviews on every job, but that's not the end of it. That just getting a quick review and some feedback is only really, to me, a start. You've now have them. They're part of your list. They're part of your client base. They're part of your extended family, so to speak.
So just remember what it is that you're selling, because you're not selling the product, you're selling the result of the product, the feel of the product, it's what the product does for the consumer. I mean, and understand that consumers are also savvy. If someone talked to me about the new fancy truck that they have, the thing that goes off in my mind, and maybe because I'm a business person, is, oh great, you're going to charge me more money because you got to pay for that truck. Right. And so it's really about the way that you sell is you sell an experience. You sell a thing. Like you sell the product or service that you offer is the means to an end, but that's not what you're selling. You're not selling the product. You're not selling the service. You're selling the experience of it. The carpet is how you feel when you walk on the carpet. The floor is the pride that you have when you look at that beautiful carpet or floor and people walk into your house. Lawn care, you're selling the feeling of your lawn and what it looks like, to feel what it's like to walk on the grass, when the lawn is nicely manicured and weeded and everything else. It's not that you're selling the service, you're selling the experience, the feeling, and the benefits that the consumer gets. You just so happen to do it through your product or service.
That's awesome, man. Any last minute notes? I appreciate your time today. I know it's very valuable, and I appreciate you being here on this podcast. Anything else that sticks out that you might want to leave before we cut it off?
No, I would just say that, if you want to grow your business, you want to start a business, being very clear on what your business is, what you're really selling, and then doing the absolute best that you can do it, and leaving the customers with an experience that they'll ask for you again, is a really good start to stand out in your own business, in your own industry. So everybody can do it. It's just a matter of what you put into it.
Yep. Don't expect your ship to come in if you've never sent one out. John, what is the best way for people to reach? I'm going to put links in the page, and it's all going to go out to our different platforms. But what is the best way? Obviously, Standout X is an awesome book. You should read it. It will change your thinking. I don't care how long you've been doing it or what you think you know. You don't. And you definitely should read this book. But John, please let our audience know how they can find out more about you.
Yeah, best way to do it is through our website. It's standoutx.com. So www.standoutx.com. From there, it'll link to all my social media or whatever else. But that's the best way to reach us. And we don't really broadcast it, but we do business advising on the side. We're really about people. We do executive coaching, talent development. So if you have a team, we can come in and get your talent to be high performing. And then we do student development. So we're really about people development and getting people to be exceptional and stand out. But on the side, we do, business advising. So if anyone wants, our consulting services, our advising services is what we call it. I hate the term consulting actually, but you can book us through the website and follow us there. But reading the book or getting the audio book is a great start. It's really about your personal standing out, but I put a little blurb in there about how it translates to businesses. But we can help, with coaching calls or on-site advising work or whatever else as you kind of go through it. So we just we're here in case people need us and they want to stand out. So best way to do it is through the website.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate your time today. Again, guys, you have all of his information. It will be listed on the page. It'll be listed on all the different platforms we put it out onto. So please, again, pick up the book. It's on Amazon.com. Very easy to get. And we'll go from there, guys. Thank you so much. You have a great evening, everybody, and we'll see you on the next podcast.